What happened was...
Hey friends, it's so nice to see you. It's today, the time is now. You are here and the weather is outside your window.
Merry Christmas! Today's guest has 2 Emmy Awards, 5 Emmy nominations, 4 Golden Globe nominations, and most importantly, a heart of gold. Please welcome my friend, the one, the only, Sally Struthers.
Hi, Zach James.
Hi, Sally Struthers.
The love of my life.
No.
Ever since I worked with you 2 months ago, you are on my mind every day because I think you are a magnificent creature.
Well, it's because I text you every day. That's why.
Well, that's true too. That's a good reminder that you're on the planet.
You made a mistake of giving me your phone numbers, so then Oh, it's so nice to see you.
You too.
It's been a minute. Can you believe we're now in the Christmas season? And when we left each other, we were full throttle Halloween.
We were. My, how time passes.
Yeah, it was such an incredible experience being on stage with you and Young Frankenstein in Ogunquit, and I just loved that experience so much.
Well, who didn't love Cloris Leachman in the film?
Wow.
And she was such a wackadoodle in life, and I loved her. And to be able to take that role and make it my own on stage with you, Frau Blucher was having a full-on imaginative love affair with the monster.
It was real. It was real, a real love affair. And of course, we really bonded when we found out that we are both dog lovers, which...
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. You have your darling Artie. I've had 12 dogs. My beloved Brad left me this year in February, and I named him after the artistic director of the Ogunquit Playhouse, Brad Kenny. Because Brad Kenny took me to a dog rescue place and helped me find a dog. So
oh my goodness.
Now I'm wearing my Brad necklace. It says Brad on it.
Oh,
it's my boyfriend forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Dogs are just the best people, aren't they?
Yeah, dogs are best people.
They really are. They really, well, I'm so glad you got to meet Artie, and he just loved visiting you in your dressing room. And that was so fun to have him there. And we had such fun, even though it was in the 30s some nights while we were on stage in that tent.
I couldn't believe, I mean, we had to stay, we were under contract, and we were supposed to do 8 shows a week, and freezing or not. But what I couldn't believe is the foolhardiness of the audience. They sat there freezing to death, and they didn't leave.
Maine people, they're really hardy, and they are used to being cold. I found out also that they have heated vests with battery packs, so I think they were much warmer than we were.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Maybe so. We were kind of miserable. I don't get cold easily. I'm Norwegian by heritage, and we're built to be in the cold. But that was particularly cold. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And thank you. I know you're celebrating Christmas with your family tonight, and you're letting me jump in and eavesdrop and spend a little time with you. It's so nice.
I just put them all outside.
Oh my!
You have to go outside, and in California, you can do that.
That's true. Is it in the 80s there? Is it beautiful?
Oh no, it was a chilly day for California. It was maybe 60.
Oh my goodness. And the sun was out, sure. Of course.
It was beautiful.
Well, I'm here in New York. It's in the 30s. It's quite cold. I would happily trade with you. But I'm gonna come visit you soon.
I'm heading out tomorrow morning for Connecticut so that I can spend New Year's with my friend David. So come on up to Connecticut.
Okay. That sounds fun. Well, you are the best storyteller I've ever met, and I'm also going to make you blush and say you're the kindest person I've ever worked with, and I mean that with my whole heart. You're just the kindest, most wonderful colleague, friend, collaborator, and it was such a treat to work with you, and I'm so glad that we remained friends. And the thing that stole my heart was your storytelling, which you always have a fabulous story. And you entered day one with just fabulous stories in rehearsal. And one of my favorite stories was how you got into showbiz. And
well, I was not going into showbiz. I was going to be a doctor like my father. I was
Right.
determined. He had no sons. He just had two daughters. I felt sorry for him. I didn't have a Struthers brother. So I thought, well, I'll become a doctor like my dad. I'll follow in his footsteps and make him proud of me. And then when I was 17 years old, I had, I think what you would call today a nervous breakdown. Of course, this was, back at the time of George Washington, but I couldn't stop crying, and I cried continuously, not just for hours, but for days.
Oh,
And parents were no longer together as a couple, but my mother finally called my father to come to the house and see if he could help. And he couldn't get me to stop crying. And neither of them could figure out what was wrong with me. So he gave me an injection and put me to sleep for like 15 hours. And when I woke up, I started crying again. And so
oh
my
no.
mother took my hands and sat with me on the floor, and she sat cross-legged right across from me, and she took my face in her hands and she said, "What is it?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "You have to know deep inside, what is it?" And I said, "I can't do it." She said, "You can't do what, honey?" I can't be a doctor." Of course you can. You're on the honor roll at school. You do very well in science. You're going to be fine. No. When Mr. Zahn brought the cow's eyes into biology class and we were each supposed to dissect one, I vomited. And then a couple weeks later, when he brought the frogs and we were supposed to dissect, I vomited and passed out. I said, "How am I going to work on a cadaver for a year?" She said, "Oh, well, that might be very difficult for you." I said, "I can't do it. Can't do it." She said, "Well, then what would you like to do?" I said, "I don't know. That's all I've ever thought about doing." She said, "Well, why did you be an actor?" And I said, "Well, why would I do that?" And she went,
Yes.
oh. She found an acting school. She had me fill out the papers. I went off to Norway with my grandparents for the summer. And when I came home, there was a letter. I was accepted to the Pasadena Playhouse College of Theater Arts. And off I went. At the end of the first year, I wasn't going to be able to go back because my father, who would die a year later, had declared bankruptcy.
Oh my
Doctors are renowned for not knowing how to handle money.
Oh.
And I couldn't go the second year, but the school didn't know that yet. But they asked me to be usher at the graduation ceremonies for the people that were finishing with the college. And they announced that toward the end of the ceremony that every year they pick who they feel is the most talented first year student to get a scholarship for the following year. And they announced my name, and I threw all the programs in the air and ran up on stage because they had given me a reprieve. I wouldn't have been able to go back.
Oh my goodness.
So
That's a new
that
story
was,
for me. Wow. I have chills. That's
yeah,
incredible. Oh,
yeah.
I love that. Wow. And then it was history. And you've been doing it ever
History.
since.
And
Yeah.
here I am talking to you all these
Oh,
years later.
what a life.
The road led me to you. So thank you, Mom.
Well, we have some big plans, so we'll get to those later. But there's another story. You
Okay.
mentioned your grandparents, and my favorite thing that I think of all the time when I dust is what your grandmother said when you were complaining about dusting. It's fabulous. So you were dusting your grandfather's dresser, right?
Well, I used to go over there. I loved my grandmother and grandfather very much. My mom's parents, they were just darling. They were both from Norway. They were both from the same little fishing town, Kristiansand, and yet they didn't know each other there. My grandmother came on a ship to America with her older sister, Magda. My grandmother was 17. And a different year, my grandfather came to America all on his own and went through Ellis Island. And they said, "What is your name?" And he said, "Johannes Jonas." And they said, "What?" He said, Johannes Jonas. They said, "Not in America. In America, you're going to be Jack."
Yeah.
So they met at a Lutheran church social in Portland, Oregon. They fell in love. They got married. They went back to Norway on their honeymoon. So anyway, when I was about 9 years old, my mother started sending me over to their house on the weekends to help my grandmother clean.
Wow.
And we would get on our hands and knees on the floor with a can of wax, and we would hand wax the floors in the house, and we would dust. And we were in their bedroom, my grandparents' bedroom, and my grandmother was dusting the Venetian blinds in the windows, and I was across the room at my grandfather's dresser. She wanted me to dust the dresser. And when I was 9, I was about the size of a 6-year-old. I could barely see on top. So I'm dusting and struggling, and I let out this horrible sigh. She said, "What's the matter, Sally?" I said, "Oh, Nanny, there's always dust." And she said, "Oh, Sally, God gave us dust so that we would always have something to do."
I just love that.
She must have been smoking something.
It sounds like she had a really
Nothing
wonderful
would be
outlook.
that optimistic.
I think she passed it on to you, and yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask you a few silly questions?
Yes, please.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
What's your zodiac sign?
I'm a Leo. Rawr!
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, but
Absolutely.
coffee with lots of heavy cream and chocolate milk.
Okay, I'll try that. Both heavy cream and chocolate milk.
Yes,
Okay, it's like a chocolate drink with a little coffee.
exactly.
Got it. Well, speaking of sweet tooths, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
French vanilla.
What's your favorite Christmas dessert?
My favorite Christmas dessert isn't happening much for me anymore. It was my grandmother's Christmas cookies
Oh, do you have the recipe?
somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't eat much dessert, but I do love and I know it's more Thanksgiving, but I do love a good pecan pie.
Oh, I love pecan pie. Yeah. I think you and I shared a slice of cheesecake, and for both of us, it was our first dessert in about 6 months or so.
Yes, not eating a lot of sugar, but
Yeah.
I'm glad I shared that with you. That was fun.
If you could go back to any moment in your life and tell your younger self in that moment one thing, what would it be?
Don't worry, Sally. You are going to be loved.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Because I went to my mother once when I was about 7 years old, and I said, "Do you love me?" And she said, "Well, of course I do." "Why do you ask?" And I said, "Because you never tell me." So I would tell that child, don't worry, you're going to be loved.
And you are.
Oh, thank you.
All right, this is the last question. It's a biggie. What is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life is what the grandmother of an actress friend of mine named Robin Irwin told her and her sisters as they were creeping out of her hospital room because it looked like she was slipping into a coma. But she got up on one elbow and said to her 3 granddaughters, "Just remember, girls, get them young, treat them rough, tell them nothing."
Okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's good. Wow. What did they say?
I think they laughed all the way down the hall. I think they were so shocked. They really thought that she had just had her last lucid moment, but she had enough energy to get up on an elbow and say one more thing about men. But you didn't ask me about men. You asked me about
Life.
What about life? What I feel the meaning of it is?
The meaning of life, yeah.
The meaning of life is that you're given one, unless reincarnation is the deal, in which case you will come back many times as all sorts of things, but you're given a life and you must try your very best to not squander it. You must share it with others. You must enrich other people's lives because it will enrich your own. And you must not be afraid when it's coming to an end, because there's probably something over the rainbow.
I would say so.
I have a hunch.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Oh, well, now I want to sing Over the Rainbow with you. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we have to talk about what our plans are.
Yeah, we have lots of plans. We're going to make them happen. It's going to be very special.
I'm not sure who said it first, but we were playing around in rehearsal, and I said we should do a nightclub act and call it The Long and the Short of It, because you're 9 feet 12 inches tall and I'm 5 foot, and I just think the two of us walking out on the stage together to do an act would be funny.
I think it would be
We decided that I could tell stories and you could tell stories, and we would sing together and we would sing separately, and we would have a little nightclub act.
Yeah, that's about it. It's going to be great.
Yep.
I think a world tour. I think it's going to be
world
hilarious, but also tender. People are going to cry and laugh. Just a hunch.
I think one of the songs we should sing is Heaven, I'm in Heaven. And I should have my hand up on your shoulder and I'll be holding your other hand. And when the lyrics come to this, we'll be singing, when we're out together dancing, chest to cheek.
Yes. Yep, write that one down. That's in.
Okay.
Oh, Sally. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's so nice to see you and to spend a little bit of Christmas with you.
Give Artie a kiss for me. He's the cutest little puppy ever. Whenever you send me a picture of him, I turn it into a work of art because
I'll send you more. I'll send you more soon, and videos of him snoring.
Hey, Happy New Year, my love.
Happy New Year. Can't wait to see you.
That's all for today's episode. Puppies and rainbows till we meet again.